Hello, Brian. Hello, Christos. How are you today?
Hey,
Very
Hayley.
well.
I'm great. And we're delighted to have Christos with us. Christos Lemonedes is
Lemonedes.
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 Oh,
We'll talk about it later.
like
It's
needy.
fine.
Okay,
Right.
got it.
Thanks.
Lemonede, who is a master of body, mind, spirit, and Reiki, a conscious breath worker and spiritual counselor, and a friend of mine that we met through Facebook and got together for a very long coffee. I think it was 3 hours.
That's true.
The
Yeah.
best coffees are always that long,
Yeah.
and you don't realize that time takes that much.
Right.
It's super.
So, Hayley, I'm eager to have someone who is also a spiritual healer and guide start off with some questions for Christos, if you would.
Well, I think, Christos, my first sort of question to you is
I love it.
how did you know that you were this energetic, and did you know when you were a small kid, or how did that present to you?
Well, I don't want to start crying right away.
Oh,
But
sorry.
No, it happened when I was a child with
Yeah.
my yaya, which is grandmother in Greek. She was my teacher, my yaya. But she died when I was 13. And I was not a happy camper. We were very close. She spoke very little English, but her and I were very, very close. She knew me and I knew her. I don't know how to explain that, but we just knew mentally. She was very spiritual. And when she died, I hated God, I hated everybody. But when she came back to me, and I realized.
It's interesting that the bells are tolling as you speak about this.
I love it.
Right.
I didn't know where the bells were coming from.
Our clock.
Oh.
Anyway, when she came back to me, she wanted me to go back with her. And I said, yeah, I'm not ready. But I didn't feel bad about saying that to my yaya because I love her so. But she taught me one thing. She didn't die. Her spirit didn't die. So that's where that's my spirit world. Love doesn't die. That's why I teach that in everybody I come in contact with my clients. I have them breathing in love and light into their heart and soul. And that's who I am right now today.
And was it an easy journey as a young person to like bridge both worlds?
Not really. No, I felt as being not being out as a gay man, young. I still saw women. I love women and I've had sexual contacts with them, but I knew that I liked men. I just loved life and loved life. That's it. And I didn't have a problem with, and I was okay. I was good at listening to people, but I was tired of listening to them and then I'm not telling them my story. And then I became aware of, I want them to know my story, who I really was.
Would you call that your hero journey when you came out?
But it was very easy for me because I had loving family that accepted that.
How old were you when you came out, Christos?
I was young, 17, 18.
Oh, that early.
That early.
And was this in the U.S.?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you grow up in the States?
Yes, Michigan, Detroit.
Oh my God, that's right. That's one of the things.
That's one of the reasons we got together.
Yes.
When he said he's from Detroit, I go, oh boy. And then the Boston.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
But is that enough for you, Hayley?
Oh, there's going to be more.
Oh, no. What did I answer your question?
You did indeed. And I know Brian has a question, so I'll let Brian go with the question and then I'm going to go.
Well,
Okay.
I want to talk about, your
I
grandmother.
do too. That was my question.
Her name was Eleni.
Eleni.
Her last name, I believe, was George. She came from Turkey. She fled Turkey when the Ottomans were killing the Greeks, Turkey, and the Armenians and Jews. When she died, all I wanted to do was go back to where they came from.
Uh-huh.
That was in 1969. I was 20. I just graduated from radiology. I was an X-ray tech, and all I wanted to do all my life, I wanted to see the land that she walked. So I did. And that was the most powerful. That's another powerful thing that happened to me as a human being.
How would you describe your grandmother's spiritual strength? I mean, you say you got.
She was very religious. She was a very Greek, very Orthodox. You didn't want to be at her house during Lent because 40 days she did practice it.
Mm-hmm. She didn't just give up candy.
She gave up everything. We have peanut butter, honey, and if you want, this is really good on crackers. Peanut butter, honey, and what's nutmeg.
Nutmeg. Oh.
And nutmeg. I'll get to that.
Cinnamon.
No.
All right, we won't go through all the spices.
Anyway.
So, Hayley, I want to tell you a little story that when I got together with Christos for the first time, and I often meet people. This afternoon I'm meeting somebody that I don't know, who asked to get together, and I sat down and I had my hand on the table, and Christos took my hand, and he held my hand for 3 hours, and I just held it. He would move his hand as he talks. He's very expressive. His body expresses what's going on inside of him. And initially I thought, okay, I'm just going to leave it here. It doesn't, I don't want to pull it back because I don't want to feel like I'm not, with him. And then suddenly, after all of the storytelling and sharing, the hand holding felt really authentic and intimate. And so I just say that because, so many people hunger for intimacy in their lives. And they may feel that they have to, marry somebody and be with them for many years before that happens. But it can happen with a stranger, if you both happen to be on the same wavelength, and it's an intimate spiritual wavelength. Do you agree with that, Hayley? Have you had that?
I don't think you necessarily need to be on the same wavelength.
Okay.
I think that sometimes, and like I've noticed this, and it's one of the questions that I'm currently working on, is, do they know? Because I can feel when there's energy moving between two bodies and I'm connecting in an energetic way. And, based on their reaction to me, because I get a massive smile and I literally almost want to start laughing because I'm enjoying it so much. And I don't see that same reaction on their side. So I don't think they necessarily need to be on the same vibration or the same wavelength. I think that there's more of a soul-heart connection there from whether it's a past life or some part of you that connects and opens up that channel. So I think it's entirely lucky and synchronistic when two people realize it. And they're both sitting there in that space of this is magical, but it doesn't have to always be like that.
That's not being lucky. That's not being lucky. It is who you are. It's a gift that you've been given. That's what I had to understand, that it's a gift that we've been given.
It's
what we have is.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it's a gift, and it's one of the most beautiful things about my journey is being able to be aware of that connection and actually feel the energy, which Brian and I were talking about the last time, how it's speechless. There's no words. that can express that energetic buzz. And it is a gift. And I think it is, the journey to get to that place where you're aware is not always easy. And there's some very tough lessons, but it most certainly is the honey and peanut butter on crackers.
With whatever missing spice we can't come up with.
Yeah.
I'll get to.
I would
I'll
love to. I grew up with some wonderful Greek friends. My best friend was Greek, and I learned a lot about delicious Greek food. And my favorite Greek snack is toast with ginger preserve and feta.
And butter?
No butter.
No.
What was the last word you used?
Feta.
Feta cheese.
Oh, feta cheese. Ah.
Yeah. Oh my God, we used to gorge on that.
Thank you.
I wanted to get back to your journey to Turkey. Whereabouts in Turkey did you go, and is your sort of...
We went to Istanbul first, and then I went to her hometown, her village. Well, I don't know if it's a village, a town. It was Balıkesir, outside of Istanbul, about 4 hours. I didn't realize going over the bridge. Have you been to Turkey?
It's on my wish list. I will get there this lifetime.
It's called Constantinople before.
Yeah.
You go over the bridge, it's the Bosphorus Bridge. You're in Asia Minor. So anyone living there were Asia Minor. So we were, these Lemonedes, is DES or DIS, all came from that region. I don't know why, but, and we were called Pondis. I didn't understand that until we went. Our guide was from that region, his family. There was a King Pondi in that area of Asia Minor. There was King Constantine for Constantinople. There was King Pondi. Who knew? I didn't. So we get there to her village. It was a plain village. It was simple. It was, Turkey is beautiful. Beautiful country. And I just wanted to be where I just wanted to walk the land she did.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
What did you experience, Christos?
How I got there. I was on a bus with a father driving the bus and the son on the back guiding him, and we were lucky we got there safely. But the journey they had to do at the turn of the century, how they left there to come here, what was mind-boggling to me, because I had a hard time with that. And then to get from there to Izmir, to get on a boat to get to Greece, I cried like a baby. I said, well, to be free, for them to want to be free made me just love that, my culture even more so, and just love the fact that, wow, that was a lot to do. They either had a jackass or they had to walk over these mountains just to be free, to get on a boat. So that was I tell everyone to go to where they came from, where their ancestry is from. They have to see where they came from, originally from, and love their grandparents to the nth degree.
Yeah.
They're our history.
There are history, and I think what's so important here is how important the earth is and how important our connection is with land. How so much healing and so much history comes with putting your feet in a certain spot of this world.
Exactly. And that's exactly how I was feeling, being there and what she saw, the air she breathed. It was like I was connecting with her even more so.
Hayley, when you say that, do you feel that it's As Christos is talking, it needs to be the place from which your ancestors came, or are you saying that any place in the world one can make a connection?
I think both and more. I think that, it's part of our journey as human beings to really connect. That is presence, is being in your body and actually connecting with the earth and being one with the earth as well as the heavens. So I think you can connect with the earth wherever you are, and I highly encourage that. I think that there are specific places for each person on this earth that are healing places.
Oh, absolutely.
And then I think you bring in the ancestral part of that. And it's almost joining together two lineages. You have your soul lineage and your ancestral lineage. And when you take advantage of what life has to offer, and thank God, many of us are free to be able to travel, you can get enormous healing and really understand how enormous and extraordinary we are individually.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely.
So many of us know that we're come from different cultures, though. I mean, Christos is quite clear, his lineage, but you do the 23andMe thing and you find out, how many different countries your DNA represents. So it's a little hard to decide which one is really the
I think you're naturally drawn to the place that's important to you.
Exactly.
And I haven't done the 23andMe, but my current family is very English and European. I have small connections to Europe. I have enormous connections to Greece, Egypt, Turkey, that whole middle area. And those are when I went to Greece, it was very similar to Christos' story, where it's just, for me, I couldn't put words to it. Like, my actual body changed, everything changed when I put my foot in Athens. And so I don't think, really trust what's important for you. And some of it will be your soul lineage and some of it will be your ancestral.
Hey, so Hayley, why didn't you stay in Athens then?
I was in Greece in 2008, 2009, and I was there with two other friends. And it was a thing where I was just like, I'm going to Greece. If anybody wants to come. So my other two friends were like, if you're going, we're coming. So it was more of a journey to look at Greece and explore Greece. I had no idea that it would be so invasive.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Of course.
Were you in Delphi? Did you go to Delphi?
I have not made it to Delphi yet.
Oh.
I was in Athens, then we went to Naxos, Santorini, and then to Crete.
Oh, you did Crete?
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to Naxos?
We went to Naxos.
How did that?
To me, Naxos is one of my favorite. It blew my mind.
It blew me away.
It blew my mind, and it's to this day, it's one of my favorite places.
Oh, absolutely. We go there almost every other year.
Oh my goodness.
We took our friends who we've known for 30, it's over 3,000 years. And I said to Frank, my partner, husband, whatever, I said, look at this. They had no electricity, but they built an amphitheater. They have running water. 2 stories. They just had the earth, the stars to go by. There was no religions. There were no gods. There were gods. It's all the spirit.
It was a very personal relationship with the Creator.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's very interesting that we're speaking today, because I was telling Brian earlier that today is a reading day for me. And all of my reading is about Turkey and Greece today.
Isn't that interesting?
Really?
It has everything to do with Turkey, the Sufism, and obviously Iran, the Sufism, and then how that kind of mingles into Greece and comes into Egypt. That area for me is very, very interesting.
I'm blown away by the connection the two of you have over that area. But I want to ask both of you, every human being is going to find a different place that does that for them. You're not saying you must go to Turkey and Greece in order to have this experience.
No.
You know, the Tao Te Ching tells you to stay put.
You can absolutely
It says,
stay put.
don't be, stay put. Whatever you need is right with you. Jan Frazier, whose books I'm reading now, says the same thing: is that we're mental constructs, and we create dramas for ourselves. But if we let go of all of it, where we are at the moment is perfect. It's just as perfect as meditation can bring you.
Oh, absolutely.
I think
there are so many variants to it. We can go on. And Delphi is the place too. There's another place, I can pick up a lot of places.
I think the benefit of meditation is that you can go to many of these places in meditation. But ultimately, what is most important is being present with where you are now. And I've had amazing experiences with Greece. I've had amazing experiences in Glastonbury, the UK. I've had amazing experiences in Norway. I've had amazing experiences in Mexico. The thing that brings it all together is that all of these places were places that I felt inside it was important for me to visit.
Yeah.
And again, I think it comes back to, our freedom to be able to travel and, the craziness of borders. But
Christo, would you help me if somebody, first of all, Hayley, Christo's got his degree in radiology, but he's never done it a day in his life. He told me.
After I graduated, I saved my money to go to Europe to see my grandma.
So, Christos, when somebody finds you, how do they find you, and what do they normally bring to the discussion? What is their need normally?
Spiritual guidance. I'll give you an incident. This man didn't know who, he just had to find someone because he was a young man. He's from Colombia, and he just was so wrapped up in business. He wanted to get into his spiritual side. And so I didn't know, but I went with all my things, my dong, my bells, and I had a didgeridoo at the time. And I go there. I always hug people. So I had a questionnaire. I was doing breath work with him. And the last question I have is, do you have anything to share with me that you need to share with me? He said, yes. I go, oh my, yes. I mean, everybody says no. He said, yes. He said, when you came in, you hugged me. He said, no one's ever hugged me. And I said, well, you just started your process just now by sharing that. That to me was very powerful. And that's just one incident.
So you told him that his acknowledging the power of the hug was more important than the actual hug. That's what started.
Oh, absolutely. I said, this is your beginning of your process of your spiritual. Yeah, absolutely. So it's so many people just need to be touched and hugged. I mean, going through the process, you have body movements and different modalities. Okay, moving the energy, all right, but people need to be touched and hugged and held with and saying you're a beautiful, loving human being. And you deserve to be loved. I do a lot of mirror work with my clients too. I make them look in the mirror and say, I'm a beautiful, loving human being and I deserve to be loved. And I can't hear you. Louder, say it louder, louder, louder. I can't hear you. I can't. That sort of thing. But going back to my yaya, she was our doctor. She had all these remedies. So and spiritually, we did the incense throughout the house with the frankincense instead of the sage that the American Indians do. She did frankincense like the churches. We go throughout the whole house. So, yes, that was my spiritual, which in the church too.
Well, we light a cone of incense every morning.
Oh, good.
Every morning.
Which one? Which one?
Which frankincense?
Oh, you do?
Yep, every morning, and a candle. Hayley's been here. She knows that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And now in Mexico, I use copal.
the what?
Copal, yeah, it's the traditional incense of Mexico. And I find it very interesting that every country almost has their own traditional incense.
We got the one in India. What's the one in India?
Amber?
No, something else. I forget what now. Champa.
Oh,
Champa.
champunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I think, Brian and I speak often about rituals, and, the incense burning is a ritual. For you, Christo, what are your most important daily rituals?
I like burning a candle when the client comes, the energy, that light.
And what about for your own well-being and self-care? What are your rituals?
I would love to just, the light. I always bring in light. I have a piece that I wrote years ago because the light didn't come on. And it was called The Light of My Soul. And that title didn't come until later on, until it was 4 a.m. I know not where I am. A part of me is flying above in a rapid speed, being bombarded with many thoughts that don't seem to leave. Oh, how I pray to the light which shines upon my soul, that gives me the truth, love, and simplicity. Nothing more, nothing less. I should not want for more in my life. Empower me, my teachers of the light. Come with me along my path so you may guide me in keeping the light so it may not grow dim. I come to you, O great power of the light, which gives and nurtures our soul. I call my teachers to come to me, enrich my wisdom, which was gifted by our gods. I breathe in light and power into my body, filling every cell, circling my soul. Oh, how miraculous this word soul is to me. It is my wisdom, love, compassion, passion, truth, and simplicity. I am gifted to have these powers bestowed upon me. I can shine by the power of light, the light, so that I, with my guiding teachers, will share this light with the human beings we touch, so that they may find truth, love, simplicity in their lives. Nothing more, nothing less. In my circle with love bestowed upon me, truth and simplicity.
Christos, I've noticed you cry when you're sad about.
It's just very touching.
But you also cry when your soul recognizes a truth that is very meaningful to you.
Oh, absolutely.
I've had that experience on a plane where I was reading a book and I read a sentence and it just touched me so deeply that I'd start to tear up. And I'm not a big crier, but I think, our soul is hungry for connection.
Everybody calls me a crybaby.
I love it.
I think we also need to get used, open up to the idea that tears aren't just sadness. Tears are an emotion.
Oh my
And I
God.
think anytime, to your point, Brian, our soul resonates with the truth,
Oh,
like that expression is carried out in tears. It's an emotion. And
Yeah.
I'm not a crier either, but I started really accepting
you're not?
tears.
Cheers
Even
to
in
Derek. Yeah.
Athens, when you're in Athens and walking, you didn't feel it? You didn't?
I knew something was going on. It was,
Yes, you felt something.
I was very much like, I knew stuff was going on. There was stuff going on all around me, in very many dimensions. I did not cry. I don't think I cried in Athens. I think I cried when I left.
Mhm.
And the same thing happened to me in Italy. I cried when I left Italy, and I'm not a crier. So when I have those kind of tears, I'm always like, that was deep.
Can I ask you both a question? We're talking about positive experiences with energy. When we went to the Colosseum in Rome, I felt I was surrounded by negative energy, that there was so much pain in the space. And I wasn't thinking it through. I wasn't trying to come up with, okay, bad things happen here, you should feel bad. I felt like I was in a very scary place, and that I didn't enjoy the experience. And one more example, if I can, I was in a store once. It was a store that sold incense and Asian goods. And a man walked in and walked up and down the small aisles and left. And every single person in that store said they felt his negative energy. He didn't say anything. He didn't look at us in a cross way. It was just an experience. And I didn't know how to define it, explain it, other than it happened. And I wasn't the only one who felt it. Do you have thoughts about that?
I'll let Christos go because I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about this, Christos.
What about the Colosseum or the negative energy?
Both. I mean, the negative energy of the Colosseum.
I can understand why you would with the Colosseum. I didn't find it very appealing, except that architecturally. I try to leave it at that. But I can understand you having that energy, feeling it, where a lot of stuff wasn't very pretty there. It was very awful, horrible.
But it would seem to me that anyone who toured a concentration camp would have the same experience. There'd be no joy. But what about
I felt when I went to Dachau, I got off. We had to take a train and then a bus to it from Munich. I felt like I was on that train with them. Mm-hmm. When we got there, see, I can cry again because I go with the feelings that I was having. The feelings will come up for me when I talk about it. It was awful. But it was very interesting to see it and know what happened to everyone. And that's it. Yeah.
What about picking up negative energy from an individual? I mean, really strong negative energy.
When I do, I walk away from it, and I keep bringing the light around me to shield that from them and try to stay as far away from them. It's hard for me because they sense that I sense that in them, and they don't like it. They don't like it at all. And I don't like it either, because then I have to move away from it. Mm-hmm. And that happens a lot with me with people, because I understand they're trying to and I get where they're coming from, and they know I see it. I read people too much, and they know I can,
Well, you both are able to do that. Hayley, I'm right. I mean,
I
that,
think,
what,
I mean-
what is it that what do you do, Hayley? I want-
I don't know how to explain what I do. I am very similar to, sounds like what you do, is that I guide people on the spiritual journey and help them learn how to use their intuition, how to create that connection with their soul, so that they ultimately don't need people like me. They're doing it themselves. They're creating that connection. So
how-
I very much read the energy too. And, you know, when there's always going to be people that I consider them, yeah, I don't know if they're negative, it feels negative, but it's just, they're in so much pain and fear. I always try and remember that it's not my job to fix them, it's God's. And so I feel very okay walking away from it at that point. And like you say, I can't get involved with that unless they ask my help, because we think that they're very low intuition. Meanwhile, they're very high intuition. They can feel when somebody can see into their soul.
Exactly.
And it becomes very combative because it creates more fear. So the best thing for me is to create distance. And I always just try to send love. And, you know, I don't tell them, I see the light and I send you love, because man, your pain, I don't even want to know about it. And then there are specific places, whether it be buildings or places on the earth where atrocities have happened, that I just don't do anymore. Like, I don't even try and challenge myself to see if I'm going to be okay in it. It's just, it's not a place for me.
Don't put yourself in. Right.
Yeah. And I, you know, like Rome, I can't do Rome.
I couldn't.
I love the architecture, but just the energy itself of Rome is not something that I'm comfortable with. So I just don't do it. And if I'm not comfortable in a shop or a restaurant, I get myself up and I leave. And I think that's part of becoming more present and more confident in one's path, is that you have the courage to get up and go, or you have the courage to say, not feeling this. And I don't think we need to necessarily explain it or try and fix it. The best thing we can do is just get up and go.
unless they ask for help.
Unless they ask for help, you know.
That's usually, it's interesting you say that. I always say, you know, the didgeridoo, I'd go up people's chakras, blah, blah, blah. Well, this woman, was in Miami Beach, and they were drumming going on. It was full moon. And this man followed me. He said, "Oh, my wife needs you." I said, "But she needs to ask me." So I went to her and I said, "Your husband," "But you need to ask." She said, "Oh, but I would love it." So I was doing her chakras. And as I was doing it, I felt where her cancer was. I went to her and did Reiki on her at that spot. And I tried to help her with that energy, get it out. And she said, "What more can I do?" And I said, "What I do, and it helps me. I don't know if it will help you. But at sunrise, go to the water, go to the beach, go at sunrise, put your feet in the water, turn your back to the sun, raise your hands to the sun, but be specific on what you want." And ask for that. That's all I can say to you. Who taught me that was a wise man. He was Cuban. He was a concierge at my friend's condo. His name was Tony. He was a spiritual man. He told me this. He said, "Christos, I have many people," and he was a spiritual guy. And he's the one that told me to do it. And I did do it. And it was very strong, very powerful for me.
You raise interesting thing there, because on the spiritual path, we're always told to, face the sun, the rising sun, and that's the most powerful place. And I've also found lately that putting my back to the sun and letting the back actually get into the central nervous.
But it wasn't the back. When you're raising your hands are facing the sun.
And I was going to get to that, like, and I immediately put my hands up.
It's right there. Your energy is here.
And it's interesting how in this day and age, how things are changing, how we always thought it was one specific way, but now there are these other ways coming in, which are equally, if not more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that makes sense, though. The energy is coming through your hands.
Absolutely.
I just wrote a whole thing on energy and my energy. But what do we do? Like every Sunday at Yaya's house, dinner. Going back to Yaya, and we'll do it again.
She's more than welcome.
We had dinner, and then after dinner, they put on music, and they would dance. It was every Sunday at Yaya's house, period. After dinner, my grandfather made his own ouzo and krasi wine. So the ouzo came out, dancing. As a young kid, I couldn't dance, but I watched every step in the beat. So where am I going with this? Oh, with just the hands, the energy. It's energy. Clapping your hands is energy.
Always. I'm a big clapper. My friends that have stayed with me are always like, what's with the clapping? And I'm like, you just got to clap, people.
Oh, you do clap?
I clap a lot.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find clapping clears the energy, and it's also a celebration too. It's yeah.
I look up and smile.
Oh.
August Gold taught
One
me
moment. I'll be right back.
to look up,
I'm listening.
smile. And when you smile, even if you don't want to, even if you don't feel like it, your whole face changes. All the muscles in your face
Absolutely.
change. And Hayley, you were saying a minute ago, Hayley, that there's so many spiritual things coming up. And one of the things I'm excited about is that almost everything I'm writing about, which is coming from my heart and soul, somebody has already done it or is doing it themselves. And you find out somebody say, oh, have you read their book? Because they've talked about the same thing you are. And initially you think, oh, well then is mine any,
I thought I was special.
Is mine special, or am I, or are we connecting as divine souls? And we're a family, and we're all sort of getting the vibration at the same time. And how exciting is that?
I think it's amazing. I love that we're all, we speak about physical connection, but I think if we can all feel that interconnection from an energetic purpose, it makes us more comfortable for those more intimate hand touches. And I mean, I'm not a crier. I honestly had to learn how to cry again, like teach myself how to cry. And I'm not a hugger, or I wasn't a hugger. So I've had to teach myself how to get comfortable with hands-on and hugging. And I've noticed that I notice now how magical and how comfortable and comforting somebody's hand on my shoulder is. And I may not even know the person very well, but them just walking past and putting their hand on my shoulder saying, hey, how are you? I'm just like, oh, magical moment. So I think, we are in a shift, whether we want to admit it, whether it's energetic, political, whatever, it is a shift. And I think that more and more of us are getting this need to be more authentic to our soul and let that shine. And I think that's love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm saying to you, that's what I had when I was a kid with my Yaya. You said exactly what I was given to from my Yaya.
You mentioned Yaya as your first teacher, and surely she's not finished teaching you. Have you had other teachers?
She's always with me.
Always.
She's always, she died in 1962, but she's always with me, always.
She's very strong.
And that's why and I've had a lot of my friends go and die. And it was, and they say about survival, you're still here. I'm here because I'm here to take care of people. So that's why I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
We're all here for a reason, you, Brian, and you.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're here today, to share this with everybody. And my whole thing is love.
Mm-hmm.
That is it. I'm seeing my friend who's very spiritual, but she goes, you know, I'm missing my mom. And I'm going, love is unconditional. And I was ready to say love is immortal. You know, it doesn't die. You know, it's like, what are you missing if it's in you, with you? Where are you, what's missing? What are you missing? I would like to, I didn't ask her yet. How do you approach someone? What are you missing if it's unconditional? What's missing? If you have her love, I'm not missing my grandmother because she's always with me. How do you miss that? I don't know how you miss somebody if you have that love with them.
And somebody might say, well, I miss their laugh. But my feeling is that if you were intimate with that person, you know their laugh, you can recall their laugh. It's there for you.
If it's unconditional, it's all it's all of it, all of it.
Christo, so Yaya was and is one of your great teachers. Were there other influences throughout your life that kind of helped you open up and understand the information that is around you?
When we were in India, I was with Sandra Ray. I don't know if you know her, the loving relationship. She started the rebirthing with Leonard Orr. Do you know Leonard Orr?
I've heard of Sandra Ray.
Sandra Ray. Well, I did, my first encounter with rebirthing was in California with Brian Nelson, Joseph Kramer. I did Body Electric there, and he introduced rebirthing. I had already studied on Cape Cod. I was in Provincetown, and there was a woman that came in my restaurant who taught polarity. So I studied polarity with her very intensely. And that was only pressure points, and it was very powerful. And then Joe Kramer came into town. I met him, and I did a session with him. He gave me a discount if I went out there. I went out there, studied with him. I came back to Florida. I got in touch with the rebirthing community, and Sandra Ray was here. She wanted me to assist her. She takes a group of people to India, her quest for the Divine Mother. So I went there for a month. Her guru was Babaji, Harikan Baba. I went there, I said to Baba, Baba, you know, they talk about you sending love. I'm not getting it. I didn't get it at all. So we come back and he tells everybody to send love, blah, blah, blah. Then we go and build temples to the Divine Mother. Well, they start her group with building a temple in Christo, in 4 hours south of Denver. And in Denver, so 4 hours south. So my friend and I went there to help open up the temple. That was 30 some years ago. And we were there, and Linda and I were the only ones and someone else. I said, Linda, how are we going to do this? we gotta be there, just gotta open up at certain day, it's sunset and blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, who comes? His followers, just up the path and take over and
Wow.
reopened. And I looked up and I said, Bole Baba Ki Jai. They all came. We meditated, we chanted from sunset to sunrise. That was very powerful, that moment. But Delphi was another moment. The oracle, you really feel the energy.
Mhm.
You get the energy. It's very, 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 very spiritual. That's what in India too. It's like everybody you meet in India, that's another story. Everybody they bow to the godlike within you. No matter who, if you're meeting someone, they bow to the godlike within you. They say, oh, it's so poor. I said, it's not poor. They're still bowing to the godlike within you. How poor can that be?
I think sometimes people hear us talk about trips to Athens or to India and feel that they'll never ever have an awakening if they don't do the same thing. That they are, that they're a parent and they have kids and their expenses. But the reality is you don't have to leave your house in order to have the same experience. If you acknowledge to yourself that you are spirit and that your ego self is what often gets you in trouble, and your ego self has been totally made up by you. I mean, you've just sort of created it by your interpretation of what's happened to you in your life. And if you let go of those things, completely let go, and realize that you're perfect as you are, and so is everybody else.
Yeah,
You agree with that?
I don't think we should wait for the right time or wait for the right place or the right person to start the journey. It's a very conscious decision yourself that I've had enough. I can't wait anymore. So you get started. And I think anybody that has been on a spiritual journey started at home.
Yeah.
Everybody started at home with very simple means, and all at that place of, how do I get there? It's so overwhelming. You just have to start, and breathing is the start. For me, at least, breathing is the start of that. Being conscious of your breath.
Yeah.
Being conscious of the privilege to have a breath.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think once you start and you have an opportunity to travel, again, you don't necessarily need to travel across oceans. You can travel within your state. There are spiritual places everywhere. Once you connect into who you are, it makes these experiences all that more powerful.
Even greater, exactly.
And your home can be as powerfully spiritual,
absolutely,
as any place you can travel. People come to our house, people come to our home, and it's filled with love. They feel it, and they walk in and they say, I feel like I'm home. And part of it is just raising my relationship. But we also have pictures of people we love who have died, and candles going, and we pay a lot of attention to the garden, and nature really, really feeds us. I think we can do it what I love sometimes at Christmas time is you're driving through a poor area and you see one candle in a window. They don't have the money to put up a lot of lights or to put up wreaths, but they want to participate. That's the way they're participating, despite the fact that they don't have anything. And I love that. It just, it touches me deeply.
I believe, and my experience has shown me so far, every single place I've lived has been a spiritual temple. It has been a place that was built for me. The land was there for me. It was a place that this is for you. So it's, I believe that every building has energy, just like a human. And it's in acknowledging and respecting that energy that it turns it into a temple, and it turns it into a spiritual place. We don't have to go to temples. First, our body is a temple, then our home is a temple. It's
And one of the ways that,
really easy. Like, it's all travel. You can take it with you wherever you go.
and if you walk through your home with gratitude, you look at things and remember the story behind it, and your heart is filled with gratitude. And you walk through your garden and you talk to the flowers and plants and say, my goodness, don't you look beautiful today? You're just amazing. And not the rest of you don't get jealous. I love you too, but don't you think she looks great? I think that helps create for us a sense of sacredness.
And I think being open to the idea that we are energetic beings, and just because we're human doesn't mean that they're anything less.
All energy.
So a flower is just as energetic. 4 walls that look like it's just concrete and paint is just as energetic as a flower. So I teach exactly what I do. Is every time I walk in here, the first thing I say is, hello, my beautiful house. I've missed you. Every time I go to bed at night, I say, thank you for holding me, for protecting me, for nurturing me. And I'm saying it to the house that is this energetic being that is protecting me and is specifically here for me at this time. Yep. And I think, again, I'm not going anywhere. I don't have a guru in my corner. It's just being open to the fact of gratitude for what's around me, and respect and reverence that if I'm around here and I'm blessed by all of this, perhaps I'm blessing it too. So I think when we talk to the plants and we're acknowledging the beauty of plants, we're receiving their blessing, but in us acknowledging that, we're giving a blessing.
And we're taking care of them. If you're going to bring a plant in the garden, you have to take care of it. It's your responsibility now.
You have to nurture them.
You do have to nurture it. You can't just stick it in and leave it. You have a relationship with other living things and a responsibility to help take care of them.
The same as your body.
And the same with your friends and the person that you love most, is that we have a responsibility to each other.
Brian, can I stop for a moment?
Yes.
Is that howdy doody up there?
That is howdy doody. We collect antique children's toys.
Oh, all right.
And so that's an original howdy doody puppet.
I understand.
And Jerry Mahoney dummy.
I see.
I wouldn't want to be called a dummy, but we have friends who look at it and said, I will never sleep in this bedroom.
Well,
He looks too much like Chucky.
Didn't they have howdy doody comforters?
Yes.
I think we had it.
Well, those children's toys speak to people also. They're touchstones that take them right back to their childhood.
Absolutely.
Well, gentlemen, we do have a minute left.
A minute, that's it?
Yeah.
That's it for this conversation. There's always many more.
But I can't stand.
Christos, we can have you back. It doesn't have to be just this last minute.
Oh, all right. Okay.
That's a fake.
All
You're a
right.
wonderful man, and Hayley and I are very grateful to you.
Hayley,
Yes, thank you.
tell me more about, when's your birthday?
December 31st.
Oh.
I do numerology also. Okay, December 31st. Is there any way of getting in touch with you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can send you an email afterwards, and
Oh, that'd be perfect.
I'll be in touch with you.
Oh, wonderful.
And the email that she already sent to you with the Zoom link has her address.
Oh, all right.
And
I'll
mine.
send you a fresh one just so it's separate.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, you guys.
Thank you so much,
was
Christo.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Much love to you and your Yaya. Thank you, Brian.
And
And
to
love to
you
you,
too.
Ray and Lincoln.
Love and light to you.
And we'll speak soon, I hope.
I do.
We will.
Lots of love. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.